than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on strategic foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the leadership growth enabler and learning and development specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on strategic foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the leadership growth enabler and learning and development specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on strategic foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the leadership growth enabler and learning and development specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on strategic foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the leadership growth enabler and learning and development specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in a complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift between events, but also collective humanity. It doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative time. Ready to be part of something bigger?
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Depends on what part of the world it is that you are joining me from. In case you're meeting me for the very first time, you are very welcome. My name is Shay Agbede. I am the Leadership Growth Enabler and a Learning and Development Specialist. I specialize in helping individuals and organizations to discover clarity and become the very best versions of themselves through coaching and training interventions. And this is one of the many interventions it is we use to achieve that vision. And our vision is to make the world a much better place to live in, one mind at a time. And so you're welcome. This is a webinar series, right? It's called Strategic Foresighting. And we've been looking at leadership lessons from Who Moved My Cheese. Now, Who Moved My Cheese is a book by Dr. Spencer Johnson, and we've been reviewing that now. This is day 10. We've done 9 days of this. Consistency is very important. This is day 10, and it is all in preparation for Strategic Foresighting webinar that will be taking place on just in 2 days' time, right? On Saturday, right? It's just around the corner. It's in preparation for that. And what is strategic foresight? Strategic foresighting is a way of, looking at the future and positioning yourself strategically to constantly remain relevant and productive and continually deliver value despite circumstances that you may face. And there's a difference between operational leadership and strategic leadership or strategic preparation. Operational talks about the day-to-day activities and all of that, but strategic talks about staying relevant in the future. So we will be looking at this as individuals, as organizations. It's key for you to understand strategic foresighting for yourself to stay relevant and all of that. So that's happening on Saturday, just 2 days from now. And this is just preparing us for that. That's why we're reviewing this, because it's a very powerful book that gives you a concept and gives you understanding behind why strategic foresighting is important and how it is you need to adapt it to your life. So the book has 4 characters, right? It has Sniff, it has Scurry, it has Hem, and then it has Her, right? And then we will get to talk about each of these characters, right? We've done this for 9 days, so there's been 9 different lessons, and they're all available. Right now, we're streaming on 3 different platforms. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and then we're on LinkedIn as well. So whatever platform it is that you're joining us from, please let us know. Drop in the comment box. Let us know where it is that you're joining us from. Let us know part of the webinar series and what you have gained out of it, or if this is your first time joining us, and what you hope to gain out of it as well. We would like to do that. Please drop those in the comments section for us. Now, because we understand that some people might be joining this for the very first time today, so what we're going to do is there's a video we usually play, a short video that kind of narrates the story around the book, so you have an understanding of what it is that we're talking about, so you can flow with us very easily. So I'm going to be playing that video right now, but while I'm doing that, this is the time to pull in your friends, pull in your neighbors, pull in everybody that you need to be a part of this. If you're a leader at work, you need to pull in your team members, pull everybody in to come and learn from this thing. And if you're not a leader at work and you want your leader to learn these things as well so that they can lead you better, fantastic, pull them in. This is the time to share the links. It's a free webinar, it's a free webinar series. Share the links to as many people as you can, and let us all work and learn together. I always believe in collective learning, all right? So I'm going to play that video right now, and I will see you right after the video. Bye-bye for now.
Who Moved My Cheese is about dealing with change in your work and in your life. Cheese being a metaphor for what you want in life. Everyone has their own idea what cheese means to them, and we go after it because it makes us happy. The maze in the story represents where you look for your cheese, or happiness. Your cheese is always changing, and you should not get comfortable in relying on your cheese to always be how or where you left it. In doing so will help you deal with change and bring you greater success, no matter how you define success for yourself. The 4 characters in the story represent parts of us, and it's up to you to identify which parts you are now and which you would rather be from now on. There's 2 mice who don't overthink everything and just get on with life. Sniff constantly sniffs out the change and is ready for it. Scurry goes into action immediately without needing to know all the information. Then there's 2 little people, really smart people who've done well for themselves so far. Hem, he likes to stay in a safe, familiar territory, and Haw, who's slow to adapt to change but is open-minded. Sniff and Scurry go out and seek new cheese every day. Hem and Haw comfortably rely on their past knowledge and experience and assure themselves the cheese will be right where they left it. Hem and Haw even moved their house closer to their cheese and built a social life around it. They became so comfortable they didn't even notice what was happening. Sniff and Scurry noticed the cheese was diminishing and that one day it wasn't there. But they were not surprised. They were prepared and knew what to do. The situation had changed, so they decided to change. They sniffed and scurried in search of new cheese. Hem and Haw had not been paying attention to the changes. They took it for granted and were unprepared. How could this have happened, they thought? Nobody warned them. They wanted to believe somebody moved their cheese and didn't want to believe that they had failed to notice it getting smaller and smaller every day. Hem's complicated brain and deep belief system demanded to know why this had been done to him. While Hem and Haw were busy worrying about what happened to them, Sniff and Scurry were already out finding new cheese in uncharted territory, and it didn't take long before they found new cheese and started enjoying life again. Hem and Haw remained bitter and angry about not having their old cheese, complaining how life was unfair to them. They got used to being comfortable and were now afraid to go find new cheese. They got stuck in a habit of doing the same things over and over again and wondering why things didn't get better. Eventually, Haw realized the cheese was never coming back and may have to face his fears and go find new cheese. He finally stopped blaming others and took responsibility for himself. After all, it is safer to search in the maze than remain in a cheeseless situation. As Haw enjoyed his newfound cheese, he reflected on past mistakes and realized nothing got better until he changed. He didn't like it at the time, but the change was a blessing in disguise. Hem was too stubborn, or proud, or just simply unwilling to change. Nobody knows what became of Hem. Move with the cheese.
All right, you're welcome back. So that's the story of the 4 little guys, right? Hem, Haw, Sniff, and Scurry. And so this is the lesson 10 that we're having today. Yesterday we looked at, another lesson, and today we're going to be focusing on, being flexible in leadership. Flexibility in leadership, right? And when we say leadership, I always try to explain this because some people misunderstand the concept of leadership. Leadership is not just when you have a position. That's a positional leadership. Leadership is simply influence. If I can influence you to make a decision, to do something, that is leadership. I can lead you. And you can also influence yourself. So there's self-leadership as well. So this covers everybody, okay? So if you're here right now, even if you're a student or whatever that you're listening to this right now, it covers you as well. Now, being flexible is key, all right? Now, we see that Haw and others demonstrated flexibility in what it is. Now, Hem was a total story entirely, but I don't have time to talk about that now. But you can see that Haw was flexible at the end of it. Initially, he was adamant, where is my cheese and all that. But eventually, he understood that he was flexible to change and, let's go look for cheese out there. So, speaking about that, what is leadership flexibility, you might ask? Leadership flexibility is the capacity to adopt leadership styles to approaches based on situational demands. Now, there are several leadership styles. There's a coaching program that we run, right? There's a leadership coaching program that we run, and we go in depth into this in that program, right? I may not have time to go in depth on leadership styles right now, and how, and what are the benefits of each of those styles. But there are several leadership styles. I think there are about 8 of them. Well, it depends. Sometimes I talk about 8, sometimes I talk about 10 leadership styles, but essentially there are about 8 of them, right? Now, so leadership flexibility is the capacity to adapt to leadership styles and approaches based on situational demands. So there are several situations that come up that would be beneficial for certain leadership styles. That's what leadership flexibility, the fluidity between one leadership style and another. And then agile decision making, we talked about agility earlier as well, is the ability to make quick, effective decisions in dynamic environments. And we're living in a very dynamic environment. We're living in VUCA world, so you need to be able to adapt to change to situations very rapidly, take decisions on the go. One critical thing about leadership is decision making. And the different styles of leadership affect this decision making as well. I don't have time to go into that. The speed and the accuracy or the flexibility of decision making and all that depends largely on the leadership style that is being used. But each situation has a preferred leadership style. Okay, so that's the lesson it is that we're looking at today. Now, as we navigate through change, right, the ability to adapt and become flexible becomes a cornerstone for sustained success. It is important that you can adapt and become flexible because you really don't know what's going to happen in the future. I was talking about it a couple of days back where during the pandemic in 2020, no one knew what was going to happen. It was the ability to adapt to the flexibility that determined those that succeeded in that time. While some were crying of losses, some people were cashing out at that time because they were able to adapt. That's where flexibility comes in, and it largely depends on the leadership. I remember during the 9/11, right? Barack Obama was the president at that time, and he was actually in a primary school when the news of the bombings had reached him. At that time, the nation needed a leader to stand up. Okay, now this is not a leadership webinar and all of that, so I won't let me stay focused on what it is that we're talking about. Maybe other days we can talk about that. So it is important to that flexibility becomes the cornerstone for sustained success. Flexibility is not just about adapting to change. No, it's about embracing change as an opportunity. Change as an opportunity. In one of the posts I shared a couple of days back, and that was sometime last week, right? I talked about how opportunities are like doors, right? And there are essentially 3 types of opportunities, all 3 types of doors that we have. And let me quickly talk about them in case you missed that. So the first type of opportunity you have is like the first type of the regular door you have. When you get to the door, you open the door, you have to open it and then walk into it and then shut it back and all of that. Now, those kinds of opportunities are the ones that you have to do something. It takes a bit of effort from you. You need to, apply effort, open the door, turn the handle rather, open it and walk in and all of that. So those opportunities require your effort. The second type of opportunity are the types of doors that are revolving doors or the automatic revolving doors. So they keep revolving. Now, what is required from you is positioning. You need to be at the right place at the right time. You need to step into the opportunity at the right time, otherwise you will be locked out or you can get hurt. So you need to understand how the revolving door works, the automatic revolving doors, step in at the right time, step out at the right time, otherwise you will be caught in it. That's the second type of opportunity. And the third type of opportunity is the automatic doors. Now, that type of opportunity, they are rare to come by, but they do exist. You hardly get to do anything with those opportunities. You just get there and the door opens to you on its own accord and you step in. So, as a leader, you need to identify those opportunities and you need to embrace change as an opportunity for growth. Okay? Now, like I always give a quote every day. The quote for today is, the quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you will find new cheese. The quicker you let go of old cheese, and this is a quote from the book in case you're wondering, it's a quote from the book. The sooner you let go of old cheese, the sooner it is you'll find new cheese. Now, let's talk about an example of someone, or look, I'm talking about someone that has shown leadership flexibility. In case you're wondering who this is Satya Nadella. He was the CEO, right, of Microsoft, right? And he turned around the culture of Microsoft, was one that was able to lead in times of crisis, give them some level of all the initiatives around becoming a web-based platform and all of that. A lot of initiatives came from him, and it came from his flexibility. Otherwise, just like the Kodaks and all of that were run out of business, they would have run out of business, just like Nokia's and all of that were run out of business. If not because of his leadership style and capacity, the company would have run out of business as well. So he was able to navigate through, and the willingness to adapt to innovations and all of that paved way for successes for them. So that's a real life example I'm talking about today. So let's quickly talk about how to foster a culture of adaptability and agility. Okay, how do you get to grow this? You want to develop this. What should you be thinking about? The first thing I'll talk about is situational leadership, right? At the webinar on Saturday, we'll be talking more about scenario planning and all of that. Now, situational leadership, you need to get training on what situational leadership models are. What kind of situation do you use? What kind of leadership model or leadership style and all of that? That's what we mean. Now, if you're here, you're a leader and you need more clarity about some of these things that I'm talking about, you can DM us. Let's have a chat about how it is we can help you or your organization to develop this leadership capacities that we're talking about, right? Equip leaders with skills to adapt their approach based on specific needs of a situation. You need to equip leaders. See, many times leaders struggle a lot. That's why when we work with leaders, especially mid-level leaders or junior level leaders or senior level leaders, every leadership level has its own challenges, right? You need to equip leaders with skills to adapt their approach based on specific needs. So every situation requires a different type of approach. You need to equip leaders. It's not I say to people, the higher you go on the cadre of leadership, right, the less technical skills you require, the more people skills, organizational skills, managerial skills that you require. So there are skills, but there are a different set of skills entirely. So you need to equip your leaders with the right set of skills in that situation. The next thing I'll talk about is cross-functional collaboration. I mentioned this in one of the earlier webinars we talked about. Encourage collaboration amongst diverse teams. Break down departmental silos, right, to enhance flexibility and information flow. There are certain organizations that you work to, and I've worked with some of them as well, and you realize that every department works in silos. The marketing department, they are a clan on their own, and they do things together, and you go to this department and they're working in silos, but you need to understand systems thinking. Everybody's working together for one purpose. So it's not about my team doing better than your team. We're all working together to achieve one purpose. So you need to enhance it. You need to encourage that. And if you need help on how to do that, like I said, reach out to us. We do a lot in that space. Reach out to us. We can support you on how to achieve some of those in your organizations, to break down the silos and make sure everybody works together. And then the last thing I will talk about today is agile decision making, having an agile decision making framework. Develop a framework for agile decision making. Leadership is all about decision making. Sometimes in split seconds, you need to make a decision. And if you're working in a large organization or you have influence over a large number of people, your decision is the outcome of your decision affects more people. The more influence people you have, the more influence over people that you have, the more your decisions affect more people. So some people take a decision and that decision affects just 5 people. So if you get it wrong, maybe 5 people will get wrong. So imagine the president of the United States, for example, he takes the wrong decision. He's literally regarded as president of the world. If he takes the wrong decision, it affects literally the whole world. So that's why at that level, decision making is key. So you need to develop the right framework for agile decision making. It is important to have the right framework. How do you get to make these decisions to ensure that even though that the decisions are, you need to balance between the time to make these decisions and then the risk level involved as well. There are some frameworks that are very quick to take the decisions, right? It helps you to take decisions very quickly, but the risks are very high as well. To empower leaders to make timely decisions without being hindered by bureaucracies. A lot of organizations have certain bureaucracies. It depends on the leadership structure that you have. If you have a tall leadership structure or a flat leadership structure, it will affect your decision-making processes and all of that. All right, so that's it for today's webinar, right? I talked a lot about leadership today. I just decided to put that in because we are rounding up this tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last webinar we'll be having before we go into strategic foresighting webinar on Saturday, right? So in case you haven't heard about it, this is the webinar that's happening on Saturday. It's a powerful and systematic approach to eliminate the path forward. Now, it's for everybody, not just for leaders. And like I said, even for leaders, you're a leader of yourself, you're leading yourself. So it's for everybody. It's a free webinar. It's the first webinar we're having in the year, so we're giving it out absolutely free of charge. All you need to do is register to be a part of that because it's going to be in a closed room. We cannot have it on the same platform that we're running this on right now. So to register for that, just scan the QR or someone should have dropped the link or just send us a DM. We will be able to give you the link to be a part of that. And that's hopefully in just 2 days time. So you have very limited time to do that. And then we have a limited number of spaces that we can take because it's going to be a closed room. So hurry up and book your slot. All right, so that's it from me today. I will see you same time tomorrow for the last and final edition of our webinar series. Woo! It's been a long one. We've done this every day since the 2nd of January. It's been a long one. That's some level of consistency, right? And for those that have joined us on every one of the series, thank you very much. Thank you. Tomorrow will be the last day. And tomorrow we will be talking about, don't let me let the cat out of the bag yet. I'll tell you what it is that we're talking about tomorrow. Join tomorrow if you want to be a part of that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. That's it today. Remember, there's greatness on your inside and the world is waiting for you to birth and manifest that greatness. Go out there and be profitable. And I will see you same time. So that will be 7 p.m. my time here in Europe. If you're in West Africa, 10 p.m. 9 p.m. if you're in South Africa, 11 p.m. thereabout if you're in the UAE, and 1 p.m. if you're in the United States. And we'll see you about the same time tomorrow. All right, bye-bye for now.
In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on strategic foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the leadership growth enabler and learning and development specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on strategic foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path.